Hello, and welcome to part 10 of the mod making series for the mod Locked Loot Containers. In the last part, we did a bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of stuff. Well, I mean, maybe not that much stuff in overall in terms of, but I learned a lot at least. Specifically about putting these objects in the world or whatever, replacing objects in the world with other ones, custom texture and stuff like that. Overall, was a very productive episode, even though it took very long and editing it took me a while because I had to listen to like the whole thing and cut out a lot of parts here and there. But yeah, I was pretty happy with that. Besides how tired I was by the end. Today, we could continue on doing stuff like this, but I figure let's actually move on to now that we have that functioning, let's move on to a part that is going to be key to the mod itself and some of the initial, I guess, logic for what will happen when you actually click the chest. Like I said, I'm planning on having other things occur. Not just from clicking, but from actual, like, hitting the chest with your weapon as if you were bashing down a door, using a open spell that you made on it similar to a door in the same way to unlock it, or hitting it with an arrow to maybe trigger a trap strategically, or I don't know, hitting it with anything like that, that sort of thing. But I'm not gonna do that yet, or deal with that kind of stuff yet, even though I will eventually, because there is some challenges that I will most likely have to get over from that, which might take quite a bit of effort to figure out. So I'm just gonna go with the baseline logic here, not even that kind of like complex behavior. Essentially have it so you click the chest, it gives you a bunch of choices, maybe some information in that thing and the choices, possibly, you know, like 3, 4 buttons that you click to make your choice, and then something happens based on that. Basically, the most simple implementation I could really think of doing in that way. So yeah, we're gonna try and do that in this episode, or at the very least get some of it done. Because believe it or not, certain parts of that it can be a pretty large task in themselves, but depends. We'll just have to see. The mod that I'm going to be taking a lot of code, or not so much taking a lot of code from, but looking at a lot is Ralzar and I believe Hazelnut. I mean, Hazelnut did a lot of coding and stuff involving it, but I don't know if he did direct work on the stuff for climates and calories. But that's the mod we're looking at. Ralzar and possibly Hazelnut's mod, climates and calories, and particularly the camping, specifically right now at least the camping pop-up window, I guess you could say, is when you try to sleep at a camp, or you click on a camp, or like whatever, a campfire, you get a few options of like cooking. At least in the current version, you get a few options of like cooking, resting, pack up the tent, or, you know, cancel, exit that menu, that interface. And we're going to basically be trying to replicate that, but with our own functions here. Unfortunately, I don't understand. I did a little bit of reading, like an hour of reading, like trying to understand certain things before I started recording here. Maybe like 45 minutes more than an hour, but something like that. And I don't know how he adds the custom buttons in with the custom text. So for right now, I'm probably just going to be using placeholder buttons from the vanilla game behavior, whatever, that are there. And then just, like I say, just use those as placeholder for now and suss out the custom part of that later if I need to. But yeah, this is the camping part of that mod's code. And I was looking at this stuff, message box, buttons, and I don't necessarily need to do this. I can just call them like wherever. So this is not really necessary, but let's go to where it is more interesting. Can't pop up on button click. So it would be somewhere like around here, this kind of stuff. Rest on pack tent. So this is not the stuff, I believe the action, but it might be actually. I think it is actually. Rest or pack tent. Yeah, I think that's the actual method attached to the custom activation for when you click on campfires and appropriate things like that, that he registered for that. And let's turn on some music. Oh, let me turn that down before it blows out the recording. And this first song is from Mario Party 2, Western Land. Got a good old hoedown going on today. So I suppose I'll just copy and paste most of this. And then just change it to what I need. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Keep our stuff there for now, just in case. We got to import, or not import, do the using for message box stuff, or user interface stuff. So our message box, we're just gonna call, like, chest, I don't know, chest choice pop-up. Chest choice pop-up. And UI, yeah, top window, want all that. That's basically just creating the initial, yeah, just like the initial thing for the message box itself, which is going to encompass these buttons and such like that. And then after that, we will make the logic for the buttons, or the logic for these buttons here. So instead of, normally, if you just have a button, it'll like show the button. But if you try to click it and you don't have any extra logic attached to it, it just won't do anything. But if you actually make, like, that's what you want to do, obviously. If you actually make the additional logic afterward with those buttons, that's when stuff will happen. If that wasn't apparent. So this is, do you wish to rest, cook, or pack? Good job, asshole, you clicked the chest. Well, we'll just put that. I mean, I'm gonna be doing something like that later anyway, so I'll just put it here. Quotes. It's very important for a string to have quotes. Set text. And let's change these to what we have. Yeah, we're gonna be doing a bunch of stuff with that text later on, but for now, as I said, placeholder stuff. So much placeholder stuff, but I don't know, when you're trying to do something like this, it's just kind of, that's when it'll become more interesting, when we just start doing the polishing. I mean, this isn't necessarily not interesting, it's just I enjoy the kind of finer details, polished stuff more than the base, like, framework implementation of things. Even though I could enjoy both in the same way, but these are usually more, not my cup of tea. So in this case, he has the buttons referring, to these. Oh, wait, whoops. Do that. Gotta go up here. Buttons referring to these. So what I have to do is take this, potentially, and then give some enum value or whatever, and maybe it'll work. Yes, it will. Very nice. Message box button. Default button. I don't know what that is for. Let's check it out. Default button. If this is to become default button, first ensure any other default buttons. Only one button in collection can be default. I think that's for like hotkey purposes or something like that. That's my guess, but I won't worry about it right now. Probably not that important overall. So we want, it's going to be the first thing, because I think when you click on the chest, let's see. think when you click on the chest, it'll give like a overall kind of like as if your character was looking at the chest and just being like, describe it maybe. So maybe the first button might be something like inspect. Yeah, let's do something like that. It's obviously gonna be changed later on and stuff. I guarantee that, but let's get something that makes some sense first, at least. Inspect. Second button. Attempt to unlock. Pick. I don't know. Just say pick. Pick lock. Pick lock. I don't need to put attempt if I'm gonna have buttons, but I'll see. Because I might do a completely different way instead of just the buttons, but I don't know. I'll have to see. Pick lock. Inspect. Pick lock. Bash. Bash. Open spell. I don't know. It's gonna be, as I said, way different later, but for now, we'll just do it like this. As placeholder, as I said. Cancel. Cancel. We'll say that for now, I guess. So, like, one will inspect, try to give you more information, depending on your skills and attributes and stuff like that. Pick lock, bash, open spell. Now, there'll obviously be other things, depending on the context, as we'll go on with this, depending on the context of the actual chest. Like for right now, the buttons are just inspect, pick, lock, bash, open spell, cancel. But later on, we'll probably make it so, at least for this thing, if we're not doing the context sensitive stuff. But even then, it probably will still do it like that. If we do inspect, you might be able to discern that there's some kind of trap on the chest. And then it might, after you do that, it'll give you another option to, like, disarm trap or something like that. But before that, if you do the other options, if you didn't disarm the trap, then it would probably trigger it, most likely, or something of that sort. That's the idea I'm kind of going for with this part, at least. But for now, let's just do the basic stuff of first button, inspect, second button, pick lock, bash, open spell, cancel. But in this case, like I said, I'll just have to be doing, what is it? Placeholder stuff, because I don't know how to put in custom buttons right now. So what would be a good one for info? I don't know. Let's do copy. I don't know. Fuck it. It's not a great choice, but whatever. See what happens. Now, what for picklock? Picklocked accept. Accept. And then bash. I don't know. Bash will just do reject. Reject. Do anchor for spell. Anchor. And then cancel. We'll just do, there is cancel. Do cancel. Okay. I forget, on button click. Let us see what that leads to in Rauzar's code, at least. Ah, yes. Ah, yes. We've been expecting you. The choice is yours. Yeah, okay. So this essentially is the method that... This essentially is the method like this. Um... This is, as I've said before, is an event handler, and in this case, it is for basically whenever you click a button on this particular message box, then as soon as you click one of these buttons, then it runs this, and then what you do inside of that method, the method for the event handler when it's triggered, in this case, you basically tell it, like, you use the logic of this message box button that is attached with it, this argument, to basically do your choices of each button. So the person pressed rest button, then the message box button would be for that particular button, and then you'd say, like, okay, if that button equals this at that one, then do this. And then you do the same as you go down for all the other ones, essentially, like it as a if-else statement. At least that's the most probably basic way you could do it, and pretty effective way, I'd say. So maybe confusing initially, but pretty straightforward when you actually, like, see it, I think. And in this case, it's just, okay, we got, now, message box button. We'll just do it for this, then. We'll just give it this. Yeah. Give it all these, and then go from there. And the way Rauzar did it was probably a little bit better, just because, doing it from the start, makes it less code cluttered, I guess you could say. Kind of. Because you don't have to, like, repeat this stuff over and over, the message box, blah, 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 dot, that. As well as you could give it your own names instead of, like, a number or something. Which I should probably do, but I'm not too worried about it at this moment. And what did he have? He had, all those ones. He had 1, 2, 3, 4? He had 4, I have 5, so I need to add one more. Yeah. I need to add one more else if, in this case. Which would be for the open spell button. Actually, anchor. So we got, what do we got? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the else would be for cancel 5. Alright, so far so good. Let's change this, I guess. Now, what would that be for? If you click something, if... I'm probably gonna remove this. Yeah, I'm gonna remove this. Because that is for if you click a tent that's not owned by the player or whatever. And this is where it would kind of be the, all the other, like, work stuff, the additional stuff that we're gonna be doing here, trying to do here. I don't want this video to go on too long, so I'm probably not gonna go crazy like I did yesterday. I just want to get some stuff done and, call it a day there. It was a long night last night. I don't feel like going that long again. Not this time, at least. Yeah. Let's put that up there as well. And the using section for the interface, user interface manager, user interface manager. So how we're going to repurpose this for my own purposes. Not too difficult, actually. So for, at least for the, yeah, let's put that just for some clarity with that and to keep looking back. So that would be the inspect function. We want to close the previous window. Yeah, it's not going to be perfect that way, because if you did inspect, you probably want it to be able to go back from to the previous window as well, so you might actually in that case not want to close it. If that even works, I'm not sure. Probably, but we'll worry about that later on, as everything else I keep saying. Kick it down the road. Fix it later. So we got that. I think in this case he's pushing the rest window. In my case, I don't want to do that. I want to actually make another message box, so you're gonna have to change this and instead make another message box. Yeah, we'll just remove that for now. Inspected guest text something box pop-up or inspect test pop-up. And then do basically this again, I suppose. As I keep repeating, most of this is just placeholder to get a little bit of foundation here so I can polish it, detail it later. You can't detail a car body. You can't detail the outside of a car until you put a frame on it. I'm trying to put a frame on it, so then later on I could detail it. That's my analogy. Oh, the editor seems to want to do like that, so I'll just let it do it. Fine. Set text. And then show, basically. Simpler version of what we did above without buttons. Or now, we're gonna have much more logic later where it actually, like, does rolls and checks your skills and other stuff like that. Checks the actual object chest and gives you info based on that and such. But for right now, good job. Good job. You inspected the chest. Nice job, buddy. It really is incredible how fast these, like, this stuff goes when you're doing this. Like, the recording, it's already just about to be 30 minutes, and I'm like, wow, that's just crazy to me. Feels like I've barely done shit, and I basically haven't done shit. But that's how it is, I guess. It is how it is. So, I guess for now we got the inspect button. Should be good. Now, all this crap, yeah, I'm gonna get rid of this for now. Just visual clutter. Wanna clean it up a bit now that I have a baseline one to work with. Yeah, really, we're basically, right now, like I said, just going to be showing text to, like, prove to ourselves, like, oh yeah, see, it works. Before we actually do any of the, useful logic parts where stuff actually happens. For now, at least. So, just bash. Open spell. And so. And yeah. You attempted picking the lock. You attempted bashing. Dummy. You attempted to magically open the inspect chest pop-up. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this is basically just the initial backbone of this logic. For activating the chest. Why is there no space there? Weird. So what should happen when we click the chest, like we did yesterday? Our chest, our specific custom chest. It'll say, good job, asshole, you clicked the chest. And then, instead of just saying that, it'll have all these buttons on the message box as well. Should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If 5 can fit, I don't know what happens exactly if you go too many. Yeah, but we'll see. And then the first one the first one to the very left should say like copy or something. Second one should be accept. Third, reject. Fourth, anchor. Fifth, cancel. And then they, if clicked respectively, should just do another message box. And when that's closed, it'll close out. And then I can repeat it as much as I want when clicking that chest again. That's essentially what should happen. So I don't want to launch Unity, but for the sake of testing, definitely should. So I'm going to save this. I didn't change anything with that, but I'm going to save this. And I'm going to launch the Unity editor, which will take like probably at least 5 minutes. But for now, I'm going to pause the recording until that is done doing its thing, and I will be right back. Alright, so we are back in the dungeon, our testing dungeon right now. And as you can see, the chests are still here and everything, so that is all good. My console is clear, so I can see any potential errors, which I don't think there will be, but alright, let's click on the chest. One of the chests in question. Ah, beautiful. As we expected. I didn't expect the spacing to be this big, but I guess that's fair enough. I'm honestly just glad that it fits on the screen as it does right now. But yeah, so there's our message that we attached originally. Good job, asshole. You click the chest. And we got the copy button, which is inspect. We got the accept button, which is pick lock. We got the reject, which is bash lock. We got the anchor, which is open spell. And we got cancel, which is cancel. Well, let's first try cancel, to just close this box. Yep. So that works perfectly fine. Well, now let's try the inspect button. Good job. You inspected the chest. And then when we click out of this... Oh, shit. Okay. So that's one thing we forgot. That's one thing we forgot. That's why we do testing. So we did show, but we did not allow it to... Let's see, we did not allow it to be closed upon clicking out of the box, or just doing anything. I forget what that command is. Close. Click anywhere to close. I think that's it. I don't know if it's a method invoked. I don't think so. How do you do it? This is done a bunch of times. I'm just forgetting how to do this. Okay. That equals true. Yes. So let's do that real quick for all of them. Inspect chest dot click anywhere to close equals true. Otherwise, as you saw there, you can't close it. At least not by normal means, which is not good. You don't want to soft lock the player that way. That's not a great way to start with your mod, is to soft lock your player. Soft lock the user. Unless that's what you're looking for. Okay. Now, let's test again. Okay, and we're back where we were after making that change. So, cancel should still work, which it does. What happened there? Weird. But alright, let's do inspect again. Good job, sorry, not asshole. Good job. You inspected the chest. Now let's do pick lock. You attempted picking the lock. Reject. You attempted bashing the lock, dummy. That spacing looks weird. I feel like I forgot a space there or something. Anchor. You attempted to magically open the lock. And cancel. And this works for all of them. Very simple, but very effective and powerful thing to be able to do here. If you are creative enough, I guess. But just having the ability to add multiple choice kind of things to a message box and do stuff like this. Because I could do anything with all these choices, and I will do whatever I need to with these choices. It's just right now, as I said, placeholder testing. But, as you can see, they appear to work fine in this case. But now that we did testing, I am happy to close out of the Unity editor for now, because I don't plan on using it more today. Let me see if I forgot a space there. Good job, you inspected the chest. No, it's just the font being weird looking. But yeah. This video has still gone on longer than I expected it to, honestly, for how simple we kind of did here, but we did get some stuff accomplished at least. We now have some very basic framework kind of behavior to have choices and stuff for our for clicking our chest at least. We don't have anything super complicated like actually swinging your weapon to bash the chest and stuff. Not yet, at least. We can hopefully get that stuff done later or at all later on if it's possible at the moment. Um, Same thing with casting spells at it, but for right now, for this basic kind of behavior, we have it working at the very least. Um, and hopefully in the next episode, if that's what I feel like working on, we will start going into more of the more complicated behavior, quote unquote complicated behavior, where stuff like inspect might actually give you information, but that'll probably skip because I don't have any of that sussed out for what the specifics for the different kind of chests that can be spawned and stuff like that. Right now, it's just one generic thing. But stuff like picklock, bash, open spell, stuff like that, how loot will be generated, like what the logic for that, and then how the actual chest will change to become a loot pile instead, essentially, instead of a chest, and then change its behavior based on that. Kind of like what we did here, where we did the replacing of the objects, but instead we will replace the, most likely this is how we'll do it, we'll replace the our custom chest object with a version that looks like it's open sort of deal, and then use that as a loot pile essentially. That's the idea at least. But that's all I wanted to do tonight. I didn't want to go too crazy, but it looks like we've done pretty good so far at least, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, I think that's good enough video for that's a good enough progress for tonight. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.